Imagine waking up in the middle of a dark, silent forest, completely paralyzed. You can see, you can hear, but you can't move a single muscle, and something is there with you. This isn't just a nightmare. It's a terrifying reality for many, especially when camping far from civilization. What would you do if your mind was awake, but your body was trapped by an unseen force in the wilderness? The chilling whisper of the wind through the pines, the distant hoot of an owl, and then the suffocating realization you can't move. I've experienced sleep paralysis in the most unsettling of settings, deep in the wilderness, miles from anyone. It's a primal fear when your own body betrays you, and your mind conjures up the most terrifying scenarios. Join me as I recount these harrowing nights and explore what happens when night terrors meet the untamed outdoors. For those who haven't encountered it, sleep paralysis is an incredibly unsettling phenomenon. It's when you wake up either just falling asleep or just waking up, but your body is still completely paralyzed. You're aware, your eyes are open, you can hear and see your surroundings, but your muscles won't obey. Often, this physical immobility is accompanied by vivid, often frightening, hallucinations, sensations of pressure on your chest, shadowy figures in the room, or whispers in your ear. Now, imagine that happening when you're tucked away in a tent, miles from the nearest road, surrounded by nothing but the wild. The isolation, the natural darkness, the unfamiliar sounds of the forest. All these elements combine to amplify the terror to an almost unbearable degree. So, what exactly is happening during sleep paralysis? It's essentially a glitch in your sleep cycle. When you dream during REM sleep, your brain paralyzes your body to prevent you from acting out your dreams. This is called REM atonia. With sleep paralysis, you essentially wake up while your brain is still in that REM state, keeping your body locked down. Your conscious mind is fully awake, but your body hasn't received the memo to rejoin the waking world. The hallucinations, both visual and auditory, are a result of your dream state bleeding into your waking state. Your brain is trying to make sense of the sensory input from your conscious mind, but it's still partly in dreamland. And in a dark, silent forest, your brain has a lot of blanks to fill in. I remember one particular night. I was solo camping in a dense redwood forest, the kind where the trees are so tall they block out most of the stars. I'd set up my tent by a small creek, the gurgling water a comforting sound as I drifted off. Sometime in the early hours, I woke with a jolt, not because of a sound, but because of a feeling of intense pressure on my chest, like something heavy was sitting right on me. My eyes snapped open, but everything was pitch black inside the tent. I tried to lift my head, to push whatever was on me, but I couldn't move a muscle. It was like I was cemented to the ground. Panic started to claw its way up my throat. I tried to scream, to call out, but no sound escaped. My mouth wouldn't open. My tongue felt like a lead weight. Then I heard it, a rustling right outside my tent. Not the gentle whisper of the wind, but a deliberate, slow drag, like something heavy being pulled across the forest floor. My heart hammered against my ribs, amplifying the pressure on my chest. My mind, in its paralyzed state, immediately conjured up the worst possible scenario. Was it a bear? Something else? Something sinister? The rustling stopped directly beside my head. I could almost feel a presence, a cold, still weight. My breath hitched. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying desperately to break free, to move just one finger, anything. The silence that followed was even more terrifying than the rustling. It felt like whatever was there was just watching me, waiting. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a few minutes, the sensation slowly began to recede. The pressure on my chest eased. I wiggled a toe, then my fingers. Finally, I gasped, a shaky, desperate breath filling my lungs. I sat bolt upright, drenched in sweat, my heart still racing. I fumbled for my headlamp, my hands trembling, and shone it around the inside of the tent. Nothing. Then I scanned the outside, through the mesh window. The forest was utterly still. The creek gurgled peacefully. Nothing was disturbed. That experience taught me just how vulnerable you are when sleep paralysis strikes in the wilderness. There's no light switch to flip on, no familiar objects to reassure you, no other human being to wake you up or tell you it's not real. The very environment that normally offers peace and adventure becomes a canvas for your deepest fears. The primal fear element is huge. For thousands of years, humans have faced real dangers in the wild. Our brains are wired for survival, to be hyper-alert to threats. When you're in that vulnerable, paralyzed state, your ancient instincts kick in, but you can't act on them. Every little sound, every shadow, becomes magnified into a potential predator or something far more ancient and terrifying. Another time, I was camping in the desert, under a sky full of stars so bright it felt like you could touch them. I woke up unable to move, but this time the hallucination was visual. The tent flap, which I knew was zipped shut, appeared to be slowly peeling open, and in the blackness outside, a tall, slender figure, almost like a shadow made solid, seemed to be peering in at me. It felt so incredibly real, the way the light from the stars seemed to outline its silhouette. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, but I was utterly helpless. My eyes were fixed on it, unable to look away as it just stood there. The interesting thing is how the mind adapts what it sees or hears to fit the context. In a city apartment, you might hallucinate an intruder. In the wilderness, it's often a shadowy creature, an ancient spirit, or something equally unsettling that fits the natural, untamed setting. Your brain takes the real sounds, the snap of a twig, the howl of a coyote, the rustle of leaves, and weaves them into the terrifying narrative of the paralysis. That distant hoot of an owl I mentioned earlier? During an episode, it can sound like it's right outside your head, a harbinger of doom. So what can you do if you experience this, especially in the wilderness? While there's no magic bullet, understanding it is the first step. Knowing it's a temporary malfunction in your brain and not a real threat helps a little. When it's happening, try to focus on moving a very small muscle, a finger, a toe, or even just fluttering your eyelids. Sometimes this can help break the cycle. Deep breathing can also help you stay calm and avoid panicking. Remind yourself internally that it will pass and that you are safe. Practically speaking, for wilderness trips, good sleep hygiene is key. Try to maintain a regular sleep schedule even when camping. Avoid sleeping on your back if that tends to trigger episodes for you. Reduce stress before bed, which can be hard when you're anticipating a night in the wild, but try some relaxation techniques. If you're camping with others, perhaps mention sleep paralysis to them beforehand. Agree on a subtle signal you could try to make if it happens, though often speech and significant movement are impossible. Knowing someone else is nearby can offer a sliver of psychological comfort, even if they can't physically wake you in the end. Sleep paralysis in the wilderness is a unique beast. It combines the vulnerability of being exposed to the elements with the terrifying internal betrayal of your own body and mind. It strips away your sense of control, leaving you utterly at the mercy of your own brain's temporary miswiring. It's a vivid reminder of the fine line between dreams and reality, especially when the line is blurred under a blanket of stars, miles from the nearest human comfort. So, the next time you find yourself camping under a vast, dark sky, take a moment to appreciate the peace. But also, be aware of the incredible power of your own mind, and how, in those moments between waking and sleeping, it can create a nightmare more real, and perhaps more terrifying, than any wild animal could ever be.